Your schedule reveals your values. You can say anything about what you value and the time that you want to put into anything, but until you actually do it, your words mean nothing. So what does your calendar look like? And if you believe you don't have enough time to accomplish anything, what are you tracking these things? Are you putting things on your calendar and blocking time so you are prioritizing the things that you say you value? This was something I was going to talk about anyway, but then I saw a video from this young person online who was legitimately asking for advice because they felt like their life was crazy and working 40 hours a week and trying to find time for working out and socializing and shopping for healthy meals and prepping meals and stuff like that. She didn't feel like she had enough time to get everything done that she wanted to get done and be intentional, and she just felt like her life was chaotic. And there's a couple things that I want to respond to this. First of all, when life is chaotic, the answer is to always simplify. And this could be, in this case, with a schedule. It could be, I work a lot with athletes and business professionals and healthcare professionals, and it comes down to chaotic meetings or sports competitions, treating patients. When life is chaotic, the answer is to simplify. How do you do that? Right? Easier said than done. The other thing, though, is part of that simplification is you have this intention of things that you want to do, but then you find that you don't have enough time, or you feel like you don't have enough time to get them done. But you don't need better intention. You need better structure. Because if you feel like your time is getting away from you, then you need to find out, where are your time sucks? Where are the things that are taking your time that are then they're expanding in the you say, I'm going to spend a little bit of time online, and then before you know it, it's been 15-20 minutes scrolling through. The task expands to fill the time that you've been given it. Well, if you don't dedicate specific time to that specific task, that task is going to expand to fill the time. That's actually a business theory associated with either entrepreneurs or managers who are trying to keep their employees on task. That if you don't give deadlines, if you don't give more specifics, then people are going to expand the work that they're given to fill the time, essentially so they don't have to do as much work. And you think about that in your life, that if you don't give yourself deadlines and more of a structure, then the things that may not be as important might find themselves expanding to fill that time because you haven't given it a time limit. The main thing that I wanted to advise on was my daughter's 26 years old. She's getting ready to graduate this year with 2 medical imaging degrees. She's been killing it for the last 2 years. Not easy, not at all easy. Well, one of the things that she said that saved her was heavily structured calendar, because she had the same issue where she had to go to school, she had to study, she had labs, classes, plus she was working on top of this because she's trying to gain experience, and the other benefit was her job is paying part of her tuition. And then on top of that, she wanted to socialize a little bit. She's not a huge social person, but she still wanted to be around people and family. Plus, she wanted to be more intentional about her health and wellness. She wanted to meal plan, shop for meals. At the time, a couple years ago, her younger brother was still playing hockey, junior hockey, competitive hockey, and she wanted to make sure that she could watch his games on the Fridays and Saturdays when he was playing, because he was playing out in New Jersey. And so she wanted to make sure that was intentional. She was also concerned about sleep and wanted to make sure that she was going to get enough sleep. She was going to be able to get in some of the other healthy habits that she wanted to get into, like journaling, getting back into playing piano. You could see where all these things were like, how do you possibly fit all these things into her calendar? Well, we did. We actually took an Excel document, and across the rows, the vertical, we did the days of the week, Sunday through Saturday. And then on the columns, horizontal, we divided those into 15-minute segments. We divided her life into 15-minute segments. And people are going to, you might be thinking that's obnoxious. That's too restrictive. I can't schedule my time. But hear me out. So we did 15-minute segments. But what we did, instead of starting with school and starting with work, we started with her priorities. Obviously, she wants to finish school. She has to work, right? But if those become the priority, it's easy to see how health and nutrition goes out the window. Sleep, suddenly instead of 8 hours, you're getting 6 or 5 because I was up late studying. I never get to see my friends. Oh my gosh, that game was on Friday and I missed it because I was studying or whatever it was. So then you get this opportunity to divide your schedule, starting with the most important things. With her, most important was sleep. And I agreed with that. So we added in whatever time she felt she wanted to go to bed, and we blocked out 8 hours. And we adjusted it later on, but we started with an 8-hour sleep schedule. 10 o'clock to, I don't know, math, 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, it was a placeholder that we could adjust later. That she was going to get 8 hours of sleep. And then her concern was, well, what if I go to bed but I can't fall asleep? Okay, well, let's set you up for success. So for an hour and a half prior to the time that she wanted to be asleep, we did 15-minute segments that allowed her to do the things that would calm her down and prep her to sleep. So the first 4 blocks, so 4 15-minute blocks for an hour, she did yoga, meditation, journaling, stretching. And then the next 2 15-minute segments, she got into bed and she spent the next 2 segments, 30 minutes, doing more of the meditation, mindfulness, progressive muscle relaxation, doing those things that were necessary for her to relax over the course of an hour, that not only helped her relax, calm down, and get ready for bed, but it became a routine and a habit that over time, this hour and a half block was predictable for her. So it really ended up turning into 9.5 hours of a combined sleep and relaxation, intentional rest and relaxation time. Okay, so she's got 9.5 hours to make sure that she's able to rest and relax and be able to manage the physical and mental and emotional stressors of everything else that was going to be involved in her calendar. So from there, we've got the health and wellness down. We start looking at what are the things that are very, very predictable. We looked at her work schedule and her class schedule, and we planned out these are the times that she needs to be at work, and these are the times that she has to physically be in class. Classes, labs, reviews, meetings with instructors, whatever that might be. If it was predictable, we put it on the calendar and we blocked it out. We also wanted to make sure that she had enough travel time, right? So she has to travel between the two. So we planned minimum 30 minutes. I think it was only a 15-minute drive, but we planned minimum 30 minutes so she could travel from home to work, work to home, home to school, school to home. Okay, blocking out to make sure that she wasn't rushed. It was a 15-minute drive, but we gave her 30. Okay, cool. That means the days that you got to stop and get gas, the days that you got out of class a little bit late, or traffic was a little bit bad. So we're not crunching the calendar, we're actually expanding to cover these areas. And you can see how we start building the calendar in. Then we put in Friday and Saturday. We blocked out so she could watch her brother play hockey. We then blocked out, I want to say she had a massive block of time open on Wednesdays. Her main classes were Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then she had work on Saturday, Sunday, and I think one other day, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So she had this massive block of time on Wednesday. Well, we took Wednesday and we made that her grocery shopping and meal planning day. And we blocked it out so that she could meal plan, go to the store, buy the things that she needs, come home and plan her meals. And then I think we picked another 1 hour block somewhere else that she could do another, like she would plan her meals, cook her meals, and then there was one other day if she needed to prep something fresh, she could still prep that and it was still fresh. Like she wasn't planning everything and cooking everything and boxing it all up on one day. There was another day. So she had this, essentially all of her filled days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and a little bit on Friday. I think Friday was her other meal plan day. And she was able to have all of her nutrition covered because she had plenty of time to plan, shop, prep, cook, box it up, refrigerate it, freeze it if necessary. So she had things for 4 or 5 days later. She pull out of the freezer and have those things available to her. Okay, so that problem solved. So she's got her sleep, she's got her relaxation, her mental health and wellness relaxation time. She loves to read, so we blocked out time prior to her rest and relaxation, and we actually blocked out, I want to say 30 minutes for bedtime prep. Again, right? You got to make sure that you're being the more intentional you are, and it sounds obnoxious, but if you don't plan these things out, the things are going to take your time away from you. And she was able to structure her time, her bedtime prep, so that she wouldn't be rushed. She could relax into her bedtime prep. Just prior to that, she had time that she was able to read her books. She was able to play a little bit of piano. She had 30 minutes of bedtime prep. She had an hour of relaxation until she got into bed, 30 minutes of additional relaxation, intentional, deliberate relaxation. And then hopefully she was falling asleep on time. She would wake up in the morning. She would have a half hour, whatever, prep. So she wasn't, jumping out of bed, grabbing her stuff and leaving. She intentionally had 30 minutes of prep time to get up out of bed, get her stuff. Breakfast was already made because she had it the night before, right? She's grabbing her stuff, heading out the door. She's got her travel time to school, and then we found additional time. There's still a ton of time left on our calendar, so we planned in study time. So she's got her classes, and we planned 15-minute break after class, or drive time, and then a 15-minute break so she could relax. And then whatever class she just got done with, or classes she just got done with, she started her study time. So she had, I think she did, it was an hour time, and it was either like 45 and 15 or 25 and 5 or something like that. But basically it was either 30-minute blocks or 60-minute blocks where she was able to plan her study time with intentional breaks. So maybe she studied for 45 minutes, took a 15-minute break. That was part of her schedule, and she did that over and over on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and some more study time on Friday. And then she had additional study time possibly during her work hours, which we didn't plan for in case she wasn't able to, in case work was crazy. So you can see how, and then she had, I think 1 day a week, she had optional time with friends. 1 day a week where she could go out to a coffee shop or a bar or whatever and go see her friends. Her choice. If she was tired, that was relaxation time. But it was noted in there that she was not allowed to study during this time. She needed downtime. So again, intentional downtime to ensure that she's getting everything that she needs, not just work and study, but also she had her additional study time, she had her class time, she had her travel, she had meal planning. At some point in there, we figured in 2 or 3 days a week she was going to the gym. She was living in an apartment complex, and she had a gym there. So we actually planned in exercise time as well. And she would go to the gym and she would lift and exercise and whatever. So she ended up finding that even with all these things planned out, she ended up finding some large sections of time where she's like, look, I got 2 hours on Wednesday we haven't even accounted for. I'm like, okay, well, let's not try to fill it. Let's work on the things that are most important, right? We're not trying to fill time. We're trying to make sure that you have accounted for all of your most important things. And so we go through and we're listing out all the most important things from, the health and well-being, the meal planning, the hockey on Friday, Saturday, class, work, study, sleep, and everything was accounted for. And she looks at her calendar and she's like, look, I got 2 hours on Wednesday. I got 2 hours on Friday. I've got another 2 or 3 hours between Monday, Tuesday. And she had all this time available to her that she felt like she couldn't get, her words, I can't get everything done in the time allotted. Not only was she able to get all of her priorities in, she was able to get extras in with all the guarantee in even more time. She found more time to study than she had been giving herself before. And not only was it planned, she was able to get everything in, but she was actually giving herself more time, more structured time, so the time that she was giving was actually more effective, especially when it comes to like the studying. Whether you do a 25 of studying, 25 minutes of studying with a 5-minute break, or 45 minutes of studying with a 15-minute break, whatever works for you. But that's the point, is how do you intentionally plan your time? And so anytime somebody tells me I don't have enough time, they might be right. But how detailed and intentional are you being with your time to ensure that you're getting the things done that you want to get done? How dedicated are you to your goals and your desire to have this character that you say you want, to achieve the goals that you said you want? If you're not willing to go to these lengths, then you don't want the things as much as you said you do. I've got a lot of things that I've said I wanted to do in my life, and for whatever reason, I ended up not doing it. I used to, love running 5 and 10Ks, and then one day I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do the half marathon and then train for a marathon. That's what people do when they run. And then I ran a 10K, and I did pretty well. Started training for a half marathon on my way to training for a marathon, or as part of my marathon training plan. And I got like 4 weeks into my half marathon training plan. I'm like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. And it wasn't because I wasn't tough enough. It's just because I don't want to run for 26 miles. It's not a goal I care about. So therefore, why am I going to do it? And why am I going to waste my time? I ended up taking that time, investing it into something else. And that's okay. So spend your time focusing on the things that you want, but first you have to identify what those things are. What is it going to take to get you there? And then decide, I really want this thing bad enough that I'm going to structure my time so I'm going to get the things that I want. So you don't need more intention, you need more structure.